Good morning. Welcome to Friday Art Talks. I'm Elaine M. Bergstrom. You can find these recordings repeated on my Facebook page, which you're probably watching right now, or YouTube. So today's topic is going to be tracing paper. I often don't get a chance to really go over all the uses of this product, and it's really great. So I have about 7 tips to share with you. The first one is, let's say I just want to copy an image. This is the basic use of it. I would just put the tracing paper obviously over the image, and I would lightly trace whatever I was going to see. And when you're tracing, the question that is always asked is, how much of the detail do I need? Well, in this case, the bird's eye would be very important. And I tell students, if there's a change of possible color, um, I would keep that information on there. Would I put every feather on there? Maybe some of these indications of some big spaces, which would guide me when I start painting. And then later I'll show you how you take this image. Um, Obviously, you would transfer it with graphite paper. Okay. So another purpose of tracing paper is when you're painting, you would have a piece of it under your hand so that you can protect when it's wet from, it smearing or catching, or your hand picking up anything and swiping it on paper. So it's a really good product for that. And one of my favorite uses for covering my piece, here's a painting that have started. And let's see, there we go. It's a little bit of a delay in the video. And so let's see if you can, I'm just gonna adjust it. I don't know if you can see it well. There we go. I'll just move it up. So I kind of covered the image right now because I'm working on it. So I'm adjusting it. So if you could see, I have a piece of tracing paper that I cut a hole in the center of. And what it does is it allows me to just work on the area that I want to paint, and it prevents it from getting dirty. So let's see, if I put this on it, you might be able to see it better. So if I wanted to just paint one small area of this, there you go. You can see how it's protected. Now, you have to be careful when it's wet and you lift it up. You don't want to drag it and smudge it. But let's say I was working on this part, I could turn it around and work it here. I'd probably make it smaller. So just to show you, I'm sure you get the gist of it. So if that side's a little smaller, it gives me some more flexibility to move it and use it where I need to protect the paper. Okay, let me move these out of the way. And, oh, I forgot something I wanted to show. Okay. So let's say, as in this example, I've really worked the artwork a lot, and the fibers of the paper get disturbed. A great way to push the fibers back is to put some tracing paper over it, and you'll know because the paper looks really rough. Take a spoon. And it doesn't have to be silver, just any spoon. Go to your local Goodwill after the quarantine's over. And in the meantime, you can use a spoon from your silverware drawer. And then you just push the back of the spoon down, and it pushes the fibers back in. Now, if you've really roughed it, you might not be able to salvage it, but a lot of times this really helps pushing. Some people use what they call a polishing stone, stone that's really shiny, and they push that. So either or will work. I just keep the spoon in my toolkit, and it just pushes it down, and it really can clean up your artwork. And it's just such a simple process. So I hope that helps. Another reason, I should say, the tool is the tracing paper. So here I get that centered so you can see it. And I have a little basil leaf that fell off of my plant. And I'm just checking to see if you can see the image. I can't see it from your vantage point. Let's see. I guess it's there. So anyways, I traced the leaf as for demonstration. I'm sorry, I'm just really trying to see if I can see it on the screen. The video takes a second for me to catch it. There's a little bit of delay. So this will help me see if it's showing properly to you. Well, that must be it. There we go. Okay, good. I'm sorry. Okay, so anyways, I lightly traced it. And then if you look at the leaf, you can see the veins that are in there. This is a great botanical trick that us trained botanical artists use. So you use an embosser that can be found by the scrapbooking section, and you'll notice that it has two different balls on the end of it. And I would just use probably the smaller ball because it'd be maybe a little finer. And what I did is I put the tracing paper over the outlined image, and I would press in to the paper, which grooves it. So we always talk about, if you're using a pencil, you don't want to create these grooves unless it's intentional. So you can try even a ballpoint pen that's run out of ink, and you press in, and hopefully you can see the grooved in lines. And let me just real quickly put some paint on it, and hopefully you can see it. So I'm just mixing up a little green paint, and just gonna wet it a little bit. And my brush has some green paint on it, so you might be able to see it already. Just with that light little coat of paint. Let's put a little more paint on it. Now, when this dries, if I go over it with even another tone or color, often I'd put, like, if the vein was yellow, this one, you can't really tell, slightly yellow. I'd probably start with yellow. And then when the yellow would dry, or this green, I'd go back, and that would soak into the crevices, embossing, and then I could go over it and put another color, and this green will stay into the embossing, and the next color will lay on the surface. Maybe if we have time, we could revisit this. Okay. So, and then the last important part of tracing paper is when you're drawing, often students will say that they, kept drawing on their paper. So here's just a piece of copy paper, and let's say I just kept drawing, and I didn't like what I was drawing, so I crumpled it up and threw it out and started all over. So a real nice, easier trick is to use your tracing paper as your drawing paper. It actually cleans up much better with your kneaded eraser, and you can layer the drawing. So here I started sketching a tree, and I put an arrow in here because, let's see if it moves so you can see it better, because I know that there was more space between this bottom of the tree, which it's hard to see, and that. So what I would do is I would take this image, and instead of redrawing the whole picture, I would keep, let me just put this in a little so you can see it. I would keep what I like. So a lot of it is good, so I'm just cleaning it up. And then I would draw this and change just what I didn't like. And if I liked, let's say there's some leaves on here, and I liked the position of them, well, then I would just move the paper and retrace that. But I was able to change what I didn't like, And what I like now is the space that I've created here. So this can, sometimes you can do, 10 layers of this process. And then finally, when you get to, let's say, the 10th layer and you really like it and it's perfect and clean, then I would put my watercolor paper underneath that final drawing, and then I would transfer it onto the paper. And I have a chance then to be really precise and really clean. And then the last thing is, when you do transfer it onto your watercolor paper, make sure you use your kneaded eraser, or putty, some people call it, and lighten. At this point, you're not pressing real hard on the watercolor paper because you don't want to incise or emboss it. And always before I start, I lift up some of the graphite. As you continue to do this process, you will get lighter and lighter, and you won't need to see as much pencil on your paper to be able to paint. Now, often we paint freehand and we don't need to draw our image, but this will help those of you who need to, copy something or get something very accurate. So I hope it helps. And yes, Andrea, I see you. Thank you for joining. I'm new with this technology and had switched something because I missed some of you joining last time, and I apologize for that. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them. And if not, I will see you next week. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you'd like me to share. I like to share on books, obviously different tools and some techniques, but love to hear from you if you have any questions. So with that, I will see you next week live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you'll be able to watch this video as often as you like on Facebook page or YouTube. Have a great weekend.